Baruch, good morning. Yesterday we mentioned the halacha that we have to check ourselves before we start praying, make sure that our bowels, our stomachs are clear and clean in order to pray for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Now, we mentioned that if a person could hold themselves 72 minutes or more, then they would be allowed to pray, and their prayer would not be considered an abomination. They wouldn't need to re-pray. Now the question is how is the 72 minutes calculated? If a person would be to sit in one spot, they would be able to withstand and hold themselves in for longer than if they would have to be walking around and moving for 72 minutes. So there's a discussion amongst the poskim, which of the two is the way to calculate it. For example, let's say if somebody would be sitting in one place for 2 hours they could hold, but in the same situation if they were walking around and moving around, in half an hour they'd have to go. So is that allowed to be done or not? The halacha with Chacham Vadia says that b'di avad, in the not best case scenario, however, if it was done, if a person sat in the same place and did not move and was able to withhold themselves for 72 minutes, that would be fine. Again, we said ideally a person should always go to the bathroom before they start praying, but that would still be fine. Interesting question, what if one has is leading the congregation as a shliach tzibur, and in between the silent amidah and the repetition of the amidah, they feel like they have to go to relieve themselves. Should they or should they not? The halacha is as follows, that if they're able to withhold themselves for 72 minutes, then even lechatchila, even though that for everyone else it wouldn't be an ideal situation, but for the shliach tzibur, for kvod habriyot, for his own, his self-dignity, not to make everyone else wait, he would be allowed ideally to continue. Again, that's as long as he can hold himself for 72 minutes. If not, he can quickly run in between, and if he's able to make it by the time and not letting everyone else wait, fine. If not, anyone else, even with no forewarning, is allowed to go up and to start and to continue the repetition of the Amidah. And in such a case, it might be a little embarrassing for the individual. So therefore, if he could hold himself for 72 minutes, ideally he should do so. The last halacha we'll mention this morning is, in the morning when we wash our hands, we're speaking about the preparations for shacharit. In the morning when an individual washes their hands, and then they leave from their house to the Bet Knesset, we know that always before tefillah, we need to make sure our hands are clean. We either wash them, or we do netilah without a beracha. So what happens if a person wakes up, he did netilah, from netilah in his kitchen, he goes right to his car, and he came right here? Does he need to do netilah again when he comes in or not? The halacha is that if a person paid attention, it was only 5 minutes, whatever it was, to get from his house to here, and he knows that he didn't scratch his head, or he didn't touch his shoes, or he didn't do anything which would warrant his hands to be dirty and need to be washed for tefillah, there's absolutely no reason to wash. Again, we're talking about washing without a beracha. Before tefillah, we need to wash without a beracha. But if you just did it, and you just came in, and there was no reason why you were thinking about making sure that your hands are clean, then there's no need to rewash one's hands before shacharit. Bezrat Hashem, tonight Mincha Arbit is going to be